Okay. Okay. Hi, we are live here with my dear friend and husband and father of my children, Mike. And I asked Mike to come on with me today to talk a little bit about his experience when we were married, what it was like for him to be with a partner who was just chronically stressed and fatigued and exhausted. And the reason why I asked Mike to do that is because I think that I didn't realize the impact that that was having. I thought I was managing things or dealing with things in a way that was good enough. And I speak to a lot of women who are like, yeah, I've been sick for 10, 15 years, which is where I was. And Mike can speak to that when we met. But I've been sick for a long time, but my husband's great. He's supportive, and Mike was great and supportive. Um, but there's an impact, right, Mike? So I just want to thank you before we get started for coming on for this conversation with me. And I also want to just acknowledge you for partnering with me, not only tonight in this conversation, but in taking care of our children in the way that you did. And I'm just really honored and blessed that we got to do that together. And so, if you could just speak to whatever you want to share, really, we'll just talk about what comes to mind about your experience with me when I was at my sickest.
Okay. So first, I want to begin by saying that I think it's an honor uh, to be a part of this conversation, and I just want to acknowledge how huge you are to take this on, and how much courage you've shown, not just tonight to talk about this, but over the years. So, uh, I am by no means saying that it was a one-way street. I many times could have and should have behaved better. So, given there were aspects of it that I did understand you weren't well. I mean, when I met you, you were dealing with symptoms of Graves' disease. I remember you were battling Lyme disease. I remember you getting B12 infusions. So there were times when you were not available because you had to get B12 infusions so that you could generate more energy. There were times that
And that was 1999. I just want to say to people, we met right in 1999, and I was
that was
undergoing.
that.
You were driving me at the time up to Denville, which is probably like a 45-minute ride, and I was going up and spending a few hours a couple of times a week for infusions, and you were taking me just
Right.
to like have the energy. So in 1999, functional medicine had not yet started. None of my doctors were telling me that this is related to stress or food or any of that. It was just like, this is what you have. And so that was the only outlet that I had. But you were helping me with that. And so, again, that was 1999. I do want to say, and then I'll let you get back, sorry.
Sure.
In my early 20s, so that would have been in the 80s, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. I think I was 21 or 22. That's the only doctor in my journey who said to me, stress is a big part of this. And he didn't tell me what to do. I went for a colonoscopy. I had been really, really sick and I was in the hospital. And he said, the medical books are not going to tell you this, but I'm telling you, stress is a big part of this. And that was in my early 20s. So by the time I met you, I was 35 or 36. So, okay. I just wanted to give people sort of a timeline.
Sure. Right. So, and that probably was when I was the most compassionate behind it. And I think I started feeling both emotionally and physically tired around it. And again, a huge part of it was me not understanding, but I felt like I didn't have a wife that was participating the way I'd wished. I didn't have a wife that was participating not only in the social things, because I wanted to go out, I wanted to socialize with other folks, but just in participating in day-to-day life. I felt like there was something missing. Um, and again, I could have behaved better. I could have handled it better, and I didn't. Um,
It's okay. It's not about any of that. It's really just your thank you, but it's really just about your experience of because I get on the phone with women and, as I said, they're like, my husband's great about it, but what I'm hearing you say is there was a big missing. We
right.
didn't do things, or I would say, you go, I'm too tired.
Exactly. And then so Corey, who was Corey's our first child. He was born in 2002, and uh, there was an even greater decline. In the beginning, it was very energetic. I remember up until uh, um, the pregnancy of Charlotte. There was there was a revitalization, if you will, and I think that's all around. Now we had this child, and you know, I, what I saw again. This is just my perspective. You know, um, was that uh, I saw you digging deeper because of the love of Corey and having him have the life that you wanted him to have. You were digging deeper, but it was clear you still were unwell, and it was taking something for you to do that digging. Um, and while I wanted to be a father and have the bond that a father son had, I saw that there was a piecing, and this is again how I felt in it all. I felt like there was a piece missing in the bond of the three of us. And it was clear you had a bond with them too, but the three of us didn't have a bond. And in retrospect, now I see that your energy level was low, so you couldn't participate the way I would have liked you to. And um, again, in retrospect, I think there were times that you didn't participate the way you would have liked to, and even that kind of adds stress or tension when you can see that, oh, she's not participating, she's not doing something that she wants to do with him. There's a little frustration in the midst of all of that. And then I felt like, oh, sometimes I'm catching the brunt of that frustration. And so what is it that I can do? What is it, how is it that I can be? And I think I just felt a little lost, a little helpless, and this is going to sound um, a little egotistical and maybe, uh, but I guess what I'm saying is, as as the husband, I felt like I wanted to fix things. How could I fix this? How could we fix this? And I didn't have the answers, and that's not a comfortable feeling either. Not being able to, help the wife that you love, and you see her dealing with uh, being tired all the time, um, and then comes Charlotte, and things are magnified even greater because Charlotte required so much focus and attention. I don't know how much um, your folks know about Charlotte and what happened
Yeah,
there.
yeah. People who are probably in this audience definitely know that we have a daughter who passed away a couple of years ago, and she was chronically sick. Well, she was rushed. She was given last rites on the night that she was born, and we were not expecting that. We didn't know there was a problem, and she was rushed to New York. We live in New Jersey, and then really for the next 15 years we had catastrophic medical issues on top of my health. And I wanted to just say something to that, and something that you said. I can't remember exactly how you said it, but digging deep, and then you getting a sense of my frustration. I had an image of being a mom my whole life, and I was always an athlete. I was very active. I was a fitness professional, and my image of being a mom was, I'm going to have my kids out doing stuff. We're going to be biking. We're going to be doing stuff. And I could barely hold my head up. So there's that point where your bucket is so full, and it doesn't take a lot to just be more than you can bear, right? To just tip over the top. And that's, I think, what I hear in a lot of my audience, the women that are in my groups are trying just as hard as I was. And it doesn't take a lot. And then you've got nothing left. You're just over the top. So, yeah. So they know about Charlotte. I think they certainly do now if they're new to the conversation.
Mhm.
But Charlotte was, no marriage is prepared for that kind of stress. You could be the healthiest people in the world, and that's going to be catastrophic, right?
Right, right. And it raised the demands, not only as parents, but as a husband and wife. And as you just alluded, the energy level now must go up. Uh, and there's so many directions you have to look because so we have this 2-year-old son. He can't be forgotten. He needs his attention. He needs his love. Meanwhile, 50 miles away, we have a daughter in the hospital fighting for her life. And for the first months of her life, she literally was fighting for her life between ECMO and open heart surgeries. And those sort of things are stressful, as you said. And then there comes in emotional aspects that you have to manage about yourself. Again, as a guy, how can I fix this? And I can't. I don't know anything about medicine. And looking at uh, my wife, what is it that she can do? And again, she's um, exhausted, and even without having to deal with the issues that she was dealing with, without Linda dealing with the issues she was dealing with health wise, just being in that situation is emotionally exhausting. And her being 50 miles is physically exhausting, her being 50 miles away. So I don't see a big portion of your audience having to face that level of
Hopefully
stress.
not. Hopefully not.
But but what I always say is, um, uh, it's always local, right? So you can experience that level of stress even if you're not facing that level of problems, especially if your health isn't where it could be. And I think that's where you come in. Let's get uh, things aligned such that you can manage, not things to that level, but you can manage your life around a healthy mind and body, um, because that in itself is going to make a huge difference with what you have to face in life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, now where I'm at, that's why I'm so passionate about what I do because it
Right,
cost me. It cost me big. Um, but we have the opportunity to take those experiences and, say, what am I going to do with this? What am I going to do moving forward? And so this was a hard conversation to have because I see, and I think, if I had just known, change your diet, do these things, the things that I do with my clients now. Um, I just wish I had known that, but we didn't know that then. Medicine didn't know that. I don't think there was a connection with the thyroid issues and gluten and dairy and all of that. So now we know, and we know the effect of stress. My instinct was do more, go harder, and these children need me. So that's where everything's going to go. But I don't know how to balance that. So I don't know how to calm that down then. Now I do, but then I didn't. And so that's why I just wanted to share this story because I wanted people to see you can get on the other side of it. I'm healthy now. It's not perfect. I have to pay attention. I keep learning new tools. I keep using new tools, but that's what life is, right? We're all learning what we're learning, and so it's actually a blessing. And to get to the other side of it, and now to be able to say, I don't want one more woman or person to sacrifice their adulthood, their life, their marriage, because they don't know how to feel better. It shouldn't, that's
right,
not why we're here. That's not why God has us be here. And,
right.
you know, yeah. So go
You
ahead.
know, to have life and have it more abundantly. And fortunately, what you went through brought you to a position to be a conduit for that, to be a conduit for others to have life and have it more abundantly. And that's a huge honor, a huge responsibility. And I admire how you're taking it on. That's wonderful. It
Thank
really
you.
is.
Thank you. Um, and so what I want to say to people who are still in that journey is, despite I still can get upset, right? It could still make me cry, and yet I have to love every single minute of it if I want to really embrace my life. I have to, because if I resent it, if I think it shouldn't have happened, if I make myself wrong, I can't fully be where I want to be now. So I have to look at every moment, what I knew and what I didn't know, what
Right.
I chose to do and what I didn't choose to do, what happened and what didn't happen, and just be grateful for it and love it because it got me here. It got us to be in this conversation, which there were times when it didn't look like we were going to have conversations like this, and we do.
Right.
Do now, right?
Right.
So you've got to really love everything that got you to this point in order to create something different.
Right.
Otherwise, you're always living with that past dominating who you
Right.
are and where you're going, right? Does that make sense?
Right. Oh, it makes 100% sense to me. And the way I encapsulate it is taking responsibility for myself and my life. And when I use the word responsibility, it's it's distinct from fault or blame. Responsibility is my ability to respond to whatever situation we find ourselves in, whatever environment we find ourselves in. And I think what you're encouraging is for people to take responsibility for themselves and their lives, and that includes the physical body, and address how you can respond to whatever's happening in your life and in your body. And I think that's a very, very powerful position to take in life, taking responsibility. Again, not fault or blame, but the ability to respond to again, I distinguish respond from react. You know, if a doctor said, "Oh, they're having a reaction to this medicine," that's different than the doctor saying, "Oh, they're having a response to this medicine." So that's what I'm referring to. Let's be responsible. And how wonderful is it that Linda has gone down a path that has her down extreme levels with, what she dealt with health wise and environmentally with our children and the marriage, and has tools, has access to help others. I think that's phenomenal. I think what you're doing is phenomenal. That's great.
Thank you. I love how you defined responsibility because it is the ability to respond. If you say, I'm not responsible, there is no opportunity, there's no door open to do any kind of action because you said I'm not responsible. But if you
Right.
say I'm responsible, meaning I'm able to respond, now you can choose what action to take as a
Right.
response. You have a choice. Okay,
Right.
maybe I can do this. Oh no, that's more than I want to do. Maybe I can do this. No, maybe I'm going to do that. But if you don't even take responsibility, there's no action available, right? So I love that definition of responsibility. And it's also, and without blame, like you said, or is that how you said it?
Yeah, without fault or blame.
Without fault or blame.
Right.
And it's the same thing with forgiveness, because
Right.
forgiveness is without condoning or making somebody else wrong or right. It's just saying, I forgive. It's just a choice to forgive. And forgiveness is huge in healing. It's a huge piece. Every single client I have worked with, once we get started, acknowledges to me on some level that they have something big to forgive, whether it's themselves, right? So, actually, my upset a few minutes ago was a moment of, God, I wish I had known something differently. But I have to forgive myself because I didn't. I didn't know. I didn't know what to do anything differently. So forgiveness is a choice. No blame, no shame, no condoning. Responsibility is the ability to respond. No blame, like that. Okay. So, um, so if you were talking to a husband right now of someone who is, has these chronic health issues, because I'm going to tell you the truth, 85 million people in America alone have some autoimmune disease. I
Wow.
had four. I had diagnosed with four from my early 20s into my 40s. Um, 85, because that's the nature of autoimmunity. When you're not listening to what your body's telling you and you're just trying to keep going, another one shows up and then another one because your body's like, okay, hello. So 85 million people have autoimmune disease. And then there's another whole big number on top of that who have chronic health issues. Maybe they didn't get diagnosed as an autoimmune disease, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, just general like low energy. So if you were in a men's group right now, Mike, instead of with me on Facebook, but you're in a men's group and these men are sitting around and they're saying, holy cow, this is not the woman I married. There's the whole, you were kind enough to not say it, but the whole lack of interest in sex, because when you're sick, forget it. When you're taking care of kids and you can barely hold your head up, it's the last thing. And usually, most husbands I think are pretty gracious, but you're not happy, right? What would you say to other husbands?
Yeah, so that is a very good question. Um, and so I'm going to answer generally because I think for a lot of husbands, there are more specific, better answers. But generally speaking, it means really exercising kindness and patience. I am a huge proponent of the love languages. So there are, for those of you who aren't familiar with the love languages, it says that there are five love languages: physical touch, gifts, acknowledgement, um, ooh, gifts, physical touches, acknowledgements. But there are five, and what you want to do is get present to what your spouse's love language is, and then just speak it. Be sure to
I
speak
think
it
the
and
one,
speak it.
I
What
think
am I
the one
missing?
you forgot is the
Acts
one
of
that's
service,
mine.
service. It's acts of service, acknowledgement, um, physical touch, gifts. What am I missing though? There's a fifth one.
I don't know. The one you forgot though was the one that was mine, which I think is hysterical. But anyway,
Oh,
people could get the book. Who wrote the book?
right. Gary, Gary, somebody.
Gary somebody wrote a book
But
on
it's
the
really
five
to
love
define this. It's called the five love languages, and clearly I don't exercise the five love
languages. Yes, you
languages
do. Yes, you do.
anymore. But I think this is just, again, just generally answering the question. That's what you want to do. Find out what your significant other's love language is, and then speak it like nobody's business. Like be that like, and it may not be yours at all, and that could be a rub. That could be a rub because maybe that's not your love language, and more than that, your significant other doesn't know what your love language is, and they're not speaking it. So that's what I mean by be patient. It takes being huge, but come on, each one of you are huger than you realize. Step up to the plate and be big, and look at what's at stake. I often say, oftentimes it's easier to get motivated when you get present to the why. So why would you be doing this? Because your marriage is at stake. Because the welfare of your children are at stake. So now maybe with that why there, it's easier to be loving and kind and patient and speaking the love language of your significant other.
And somebody put in the comment, Gary Chapman is
Yes, that's it, Gary Chapman.
And would you say, so one thing that I hear women say is, my husband, so the way that I work with people is not conventional medicine, right? It's changing their food, changing their lifestyle. Right now,
Right.
I'm really, really focused on, there's several root causes that can get to have people get to this point with health. And one of them is past trauma, emotional trauma, um, stuck emotions. And that was absolutely me. That was the last place that I looked for my health and wellness. And that's really where I work with people now. But whatever it is, there are a lot of people that I get on the phone with who say, my husband doesn't, so he doesn't support that. He wants me to go to the doctor, my husband. So so would you say, I'm trying to put words in your mouth clearly.
Fine. I'm
my
fine with that.
my thought is, like, if your spouse, if I'm a woman and my husband's struggling, it doesn't matter. If your spouse or your partner is saying, I think this is what I need, I think this is the route I need to go, because it just makes sense, because my prescriptions and my medications and my doctors are not working,
Right.
that there's a level of support I think you could give as a partner, like, hey, great, let's try it, because I want you to feel better.
Right. And again, if you're being kind, if you're being patient, that is something that you're going to see. Well, she's been trying. It's not like she's been sitting around. She's been trying. She's been seeing doctors. In your case, you had been going to get B12 intravenously. You had been doing what you needed to do to get better. So I think um, it's admirable to see someone working as hard as they can to achieve what they want to achieve. If I'm your partner in life, then why wouldn't I want to support that? I should support that, especially if the end result is going to make our relationship better. Then, of course, I would say to the husband, of course, take whatever avenue you can that brings no harm or no foul to her or anyone else.
Yeah.
Now, I understand too that we're just having a talk here, and everything I've said is a lot easier to say than actually do. But that again, that's why I say you husbands, you want to dig in and you want to get present to what's at stake here. It's and okay, so you mentioned sex, and speaking as a man, yes, for a lot of men, that is a big component, a big driving force. But the fact is, if you really were to stop, it's all those other minutes and hours in the day that you're going to be spending with your significant other that are valuable too. So you're giving up that as well. Do what you need to do to be patient and kind. Exercise the love language. And here's another tip I would give them. It's interesting. Here's a book I read a long time ago, long before the Gary Chapman book. But Ellen Friedman wrote a couple of books. One book was Light Her Fire. Another one was The 10-Second Kiss. So practice the techniques that she gives you, because they're mindless little things, little tasks that you can do throughout the day that will warm the heart of the significant other. And so you were talking about earlier how you wish you had known this, or you would practice. Listen, I wish I had practiced those things, having learned them now. That if I just spent 20 seconds holding you, then that could have made a difference. And you dealing with all you had to deal with. If I spent 30 minutes every day just talking to you, not even about your health, not about the kids, what's going on with you in your life, Linda? How are you feeling today? I know that would have made a difference. And in that recreation of a harmonious relationship, I think men are more willing to say, well, let's take a look at what Linda's offering, and let's go that route, even though it isn't conventional medicine. Let's take a look and see if that can make a difference. Because again, we're present to the bigger picture at that point. We're present to what really is at stake.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else that you wanted to say? A comment just came in. It gets frustrating for the spouse. Julie, it absolutely does. That's why I asked Mike to come and talk with me, because I know I know because of our experience and the way that our marriage went. And I'm not saying everybody's marriage is going to end, but I know it's frustrating. I know that it's makes you feel, I shouldn't put words in your mouth, but I think you feel lonely when the other person is exhausted and not available. I think you feel frustrated. There's probably a lot of words, but that was truly exactly why I asked Mike to have the conversation, because I didn't realize until I was on the other side of it how impactful the way that I was being was. Especially as women, when we think, well, I'm doing everything for the family. I'm doing everything I can. I'm like giving all that I can. Yeah,
Right.
you are. But he's left not feeling that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. You know, as the husband, and not like it's the truth, but as the husband, you start to feel like, well, I'm not being taken care of. Well, and what about me? And and I get that you have to be bigger than that, but sometimes you don't realize it. You just say, listen, you know, you're laying in bed with your wife, but you're asking yourself, where is she? That's kind of what's happening. Where is she? There's this, you know, abyss between us. And it's not a nice feeling. It's not a nice feeling. And you know, kids are not. I think the relationship that the husband and wife has, uh, it really could be paramount. And then other things start to, you know, the finances, the children, all that start to come together organically because there is that healthy relationship between the two of them.
Yeah. Yep. So hindsight's 2020. Here
Yes.
are Mike and I
Okay.
having a conversation after 20 years of marriage that I was sick when Mike met me. So there was never a time when, except now on this end of it, when I was 100% feeling like I wanted to be, participating in the way I wanted to be, or the way that he would have liked me to be. So it's easy now to say what to do, and that's why we're sharing the information, because I think
Right.
in the midst of it we didn't know what to do.
Right.
So anything else, Mike, before we say goodnight?
No, it's listen, it's your, is there anything else you need to hear? I am here for you. Like I said, I support you 100%. I love what you're doing. I think you're making a difference for humanity, and I support you 100%. So anytime
Thank,
you want to do something like this, if you have another aspect of it you'd like for me to participate in, I'm always happy to support you, Linda.
thank you. Somebody just asked, is there anything as a wife with fatigue from Hashimoto's that we can express to our husbands to understand? Like how to express so that your partner gets, I don't even know, Mike, if you really understand. It's not a fatigue where you go, okay, just let me pull an all-nighter like in college. Your body is like, no, like there is nothing.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think that you really understood that that's how I felt. Did you?
I didn't. And so what is it that I would have heard? Um, See, because that's another aspect of this. Um, uh, if your relationship is like a lot of relationships, what happens is um, after a while, and I'm speaking for myself, after a while, I wasn't even hearing Linda because I felt so alienated. You know, she could be telling me gospel, I couldn't hear her. So I think first, bring the relationship back to a point where you can hear one another. And the best way to hear the other person, I'm sorry, to be heard is to hear the other person powerfully. So, and you might not like what I'm about to say. What I'm about to say is really get his world first. Like really, really get his, what is it like to be with me? You know, like that. And then maybe his heart will open up, and then all you have to say is, listen, I'm experiencing an exhaustion unlike any other exhaustion I've ever experienced, and I don't even know how to communicate that effectively to you. Because once he can hear you, I don't think you have to have powerful words, or just be kind, loving, and gentle, and he can hear you. So I would say, and I'm not even sure who asked that, or obviously I don't know any of these participants, but I would say first get to a point where you can hear one another. I think one of the big mistakes, and this isn't just in intimate relationships, one of the mistakes we make in society is forgetting that being heard is a very real security we have in life. We understand, oh, we need food, we need a roof over our head, we need clothes on our backs, but there's something inside that we want to be heard. And the moment the hearing is cut off, a lot of other things are cut off too. So I would just encourage you, whoever asked that question, I would encourage you to open it up so that he understands that you're listening and you hear him and you're getting his world. And when is there anything else? Like that's one of the things that we used to practice when someone's saying something. And is there anything else? And really getting their world, and even if it means repeating what. So you mean when I feel tired, you do like this, like saying it again, so that they get that you got them, and then it's easier for them to hear you when you say, "Listen, I can't even explain the exhaustion that I'm going through. I don't even know how to express it. I don't have the words to express it. That's where I'm at. That's where I was Tuesday night when you wanted to go out and just have dinner, but I didn't have the energy to even get dressed to go out or whatever it is." I think that's the place to start. By the way, I should say this. I'm just giving Michael Downey's humble opinion with the little bit that I know. Okay, so I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not any of those things. I'm just sharing what I know, having the life experience that I've had.
But we've been through therapy,
And
so
yes, we have been through therapy. That's true. More
we
than one therapist, actually.
we did
Yes,
that a couple times.
right.
Uh, yeah, I love what you said, actually. I think what I would just to clarify that, or just expand on it, is, again, say to your husband, I can't imagine what it's like for you to be married to me. I'm so tired all the time. What's that like for you? Like, maybe
Right.
start there.
Right.
Um, I know that I'm not the way I used to be. How is that impacting you? Ask them. And do you think sometimes, Mike, that the initial response might be, no, 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 it's fine, you're good, and then, but say, like, really, or I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say that's because isn't that how we train to be polite and don't complain? But I'm gonna say he's not gonna have he's not gonna leave that conversation having felt being heard if that's all he says. So and listen, it's gonna take building up and being strong and brave yourself, because he may say some things that are hurtful. Take it on. I don't know if you share Ho'oponopono with your group or any of that, but
I do
really
that
take
with
it on.
with my clients. That's one of the
Yeah.
tools that we use.
Really,
Yeah.
really come from a place that, listen, please forgive me. I'm sorry, and I love you. Thank you. However you word all of that in your initial communication to really receive what there is to that they have, because I'm saying, and he may not even realize it, but if he has been going through any period of time feeling like he's not being heard, and I'm not saying that's the truth, but if he goes through any period of time feeling like he's not being heard, he's not going to be hearing you. It may not even be conscious, but he's not going to be hearing you. And I think that's going to be one of the roots of that strong relationship and really getting you what you need.
Awesome. We may have to do this once a month.
I'm up for it. I have no problem with that.
Oh, that's great. Maybe we will. But anyway, I just want to thank you for sharing your insights and your wisdom. Again, Mike and I are on the other side of a lot of huge things, and it's, like I said, hindsight is always easier, right? So we're just trying to share our experience, share what worked for us, and maybe we will do it again. But thanks, Mike, for your time tonight.
Absolutely. Anything for you, Linda.
Thanks. Okay. Well, thanks everybody who was here, and I guess I'll see you Thursday night with Taylor. We always get together on Thursdays, so I'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.